Stop biting your tongue. Stop hiding behind masks and perceptions and ideas and things of that nature. Be real. Unfilter yourself.
Why can't that be keeping it real?
Go Kev, go Kev, go Kev, go, 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 Kev, go Kev, go Kev, go
So, what's up? What's up, everybody? This is me, Uncle Kev. You know your favorite uncle. You know another Uncle Kev? He ain't me. Oh, okay. I'm Uncle Kev, and this is B, because the soul needs the soundtrack, and I'm super excited about today's conversation. Why? Because this space is authentically made for people to just tap into their inner selves and just be. And today, we are going to just be men. And we're going to own that in all its different facets and all its different beauties and glories. And yes, you can attach the word beauty and man together, and we can still be men. And we're going to talk about that. But before we go in, I got to introduce some of the most brilliant minds, some of the most intelligent, most whatever word that you can use to describe these people, that's what I'm going to use. But
attractive.
Okay, my bro said attractive. So we're going to start with the attractive Maurice Williams.
Go. All right.
And listen, let me tell you a few things about Reese. Short in stature, but tall in mind, right?
Well, they didn't need to know that.
Listen,
I'm sitting down.
I mean, but look, hey, we just going to put it out there, right? With short guys on the outside, tall guys on the inside, so you could get a full scale, right? Yeah. But no, Reese is former educator, but once an educator, always an educator. He branched out to start his own platform, Born with a Purpose. Has done some phenomenal things with teaching the skill of the sport basketball, but also translating the conversation into character development. Overall, being just a masterful person in owning your craft and your skill on and off the court. So that's my bro, Reese. Next to Reese, we have the longest connection I've had here in the city. My brother, Nigel Charles. Nigel was also former educator, but once an educator, always an educator. He has done some phenomenal work in and outside of the school. Now works on a larger platform with the city, right? I'm right. You work with...
Yeah, I don't get paid for that work, though.
But in doing that, he still is able to help people better themselves and extending opportunities to organizations and grassroots organizations and people just at large to be able to do what they do on a larger scale. Mm-hmm. He also is an entrepreneur, one of the best photographers, self-taught, might I add, because black men are brilliant and we can do whatever the heck we want to do. Yes, sir. But does some phenomenal work in photography, and that's Nigel, y'all. That's my guy, Nigel. Yep. And then we're going to get into this gentle giant right here with his shoulders out, and we're going to act like he got on a turtleneck and a blazer because I just don't want to feel that small today. But my guy, my bro, Jeremy Stokes, and he is a firefighter by day and a master and by night, and when he sleep. But I wouldn't know that. But he is also the personal trainer. I had to clear my throat because I ain't seen him in a while. But he's a personal trainer. Overall, great guy, brilliant mind, has a lot to offer any space that he's in. And I purposely needed these three guys for this conversation. Reason being, because we all come from different walks of life. Everybody has some similarities and some differences, but your minds are definitely in tune and tapped into this conversation around men, more specifically black men and masculinity. And that's what I want us to vibe with today. Can y'all rock? Are we good? Mm-hmm. All right, so let's get it going.
Let's go.
Boys are emasculated way before they're taught and allowed to be men. What do you think about that? Boys are, just think about yourself when you were a young boy. think about the perceptions around manhood and masculinity and things like that. Boys were emasculated way before they were allowed to be men. Let's talk about that. What are your thoughts? Bounce around. We ain't gotta have no. Let's vibe. What do you think? True, not true?
Well, I mean, I just jump right in. I do believe, from my personal experience, I've seen it happen to myself as well as happen to peers. Growing up. It also is depending on the upbringing. Sometimes it's not even about what's going on at home.
Yeah.
Being boys, with us being active, no matter how you come up, you're outside and you have other peers that, tell you different things and you learn different things from them, and you're not really sure what's, right from wrong or until it get in front of your mother. But you don't really know like what's the route. When we all have like those men role models between church, sports, schools, guys that we seen around the neighborhood. But I know from being young, I was emasculated the most around my peers that I went to school with. And it wasn't until I was in second grade, I had just went to a different school, moved to a different neighborhood. It was still West Philly, but it seemed like the neighborhood changed every 2 blocks. Mm-hmm. That's right. And it's like with these guys, they would say, kids, y'all probably know it nowadays too, but back then, to me personally, they were very ruthless. And they would define what masculine and what a masculine man was, because that's who you hung around. And you wanted to be accepted by, your peers, and you want to, impress everyone. And even with the females that you wanted to attract as well, everything was about approval. So now, whatever you want approval from was your total judgment of who you were going to be as a kid. And, at that age, you're a sponge, you're taking in things, you're learning things, and that's your whole acceptance right there. So, yeah, I can say it starts off young. And it's coming from kids that don't even know how to be men. Like, they're boys just like you. But, they're telling you this with you. And I don't know where they're getting information from. It could be from TV, movies. And listen, I ain't going to. Yeah, I mean, I had male figures in my life. My father, my stepdad. I'm a really good praise to that. He was my stepdad, and, but he's my father, Right. And it wasn't until I was about 7, but up until then, I didn't really have a male in my house with me to, so I was taking in a lot, from those peers.
Got you.
Yeah, I want to jump in on that. Just at a young age, right? I never forget, I like this young girl. Her name is Tatiana. Sorry, my wife.
Uh-oh.
It was a long time ago.
It was a long time ago, baby.
But you remember her name.
Everybody got a Tatiana.
Everybody got Tatiana.
Everybody got a Tatiana.
I like this girl, Tatiana, but I just liked her. I just liked her. But the peers, my friends, if you will, they was like, well, what you going to do with that? Y'all going to go home at the school? I know your mom worked late on Wednesdays, right? What are you going to do?
And that wasn't even in your head, though.
It wasn't even in my head,
That's
bro.
crazy.
Yeah.
But I liked her. I thought she was beautiful. I thought she was smart. But I just wanted to kick it with her.
Right.
I wanted to watch some movies. I wanted to go to the park. I was not thinking about actually being physical with her or having sex with this girl. But I knew that at that moment I had to make a decision because, if I don't do this, if I don't make up a lie and say that I did it, then I'm not going to be accepted anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I have almost given away my manhood because I wasn't willing to have sex with this young girl that I truly, truly liked. I mean, that was hard for me to really make that decision because I'm like, well, I had to step outside of my character and my essence of what I believe a young man is to be accepted into this culture, this dominant culture, right? Because if you don't subscribe, if you don't accept this, then you're an outcast for a long time, maybe until you switch to another school, and that's a hurtful place to be in.
Yeah. It's, I mean, I can echo literally that same exact experience. But I think it's a mixed bag in that, like, it's emasculation in service of hypermasculinity.
See why you here, bro? Talk about it.
It's that stripping away of, like, who you are and your character so that you can be this, like, caricature of what a man is supposed to be.
Yeah.
And, I mean, we know caricatures aren't the real thing. So it's a real mixed bag of, like, I'm going to call you a punk so you could be bigger man. And it's like, how does doing that actually help me get to that destination? How does that actually inform me being a better man when you're telling me I'm not a good enough person as I am right now?
And you know what's hurting about that? It's usually coming from people that aren't doing the things that they're trying to tempt you to do.
Come on, like, and
it's like,
that's the nature of it, though, right? Because if I'm not doing it and you're not doing it, but I feel like I have just an inkling of influence over the way you think, I can make you feel like you're not who you need to be just by portraying that, hey, you should be doing. I ain't doing it, but he ain't got to know I ain't doing it. You know what I'm saying?
And it's funny you say that because the problem that comes from that is usually the benefit of us being who we are. You're in position that someone isn't.
Yeah.
So it's more so they're trying to live through you. So you having your Tatiana, they don't have a Tatiana. But they know something that, you know, you probably, y'all, at your age, I don't know how old you were at the time, y'all probably shouldn't know about. Or, I mean, even if it do come around, because, you know, sex and everything is a natural part of, you know, life and manhood. But at the same time, at that age, you're trying to take those appropriate steps. And you have your Tatiana. Usually a lot of people, I will say, they will perform jealousy or hate or anything. They will try to live through you in your situation by manipulating or tempting you to do things that you shouldn't do. And then if you agree to it, you're still being suckered into doing something. And if you don't, now they got the right to emasculate you and say you're not a man to, you know, handle this or whatever the case may be. But maybe if it was me, listen, I'm man enough for Tatiana to want me back. So, and I ain't even do this, that, and the third with it, you know. But I do believe it's all about your position and where you are. You know, a lot of people see you in these different stages in life, and they really are influenced by it. You started off the influence. So now sometimes the influence can show the position of power because whoever influenced you has that power over you.
Come on.
So they try to influence you because they're trying to get that power back.
Yeah.
That's deep.
You know?
That
So
reminds me of
That's deep.
an episode, plug, Cosby Show fan. That reminds me of an episode of Cosby Show where one of Theo's friends was interested in Vanessa, and Theo was, you know, the episode started with them in the locker room.
I remember
right?
that, yes.
And the dude expressed interest in Vanessa. They were going to go out. They went out. The guy comes back. Locker room conversation part 2 is now because the guys around him coerced him into believing that you need to explore her.
That's right.
At a deeper level. Now we have to think about incorporating like what you had to think with your Tatiana. Like, he wanted to explore the possibility of, just for the sake of conversation, not because he wanted to. Now I have to lead them to believe that I had sex with Vanessa or that we kissed or touched and things. And now Theo's angry, right? Because he knows that that's not what happened. He knows this is also not his friend. But for the sake of conversation and to fit in with the boys in the conversation in the locker room, now I have to buy into this thing that I know is not true. And then at the end, the two friends were able to have a conversation where he admitted this didn't really happen.
That's right.
But Theo, how could I sit in front of them and then made like you have been in similar situations, right? And I think about there's this piece of information I found yesterday. 36% of men altered their personalities to seem more manly.
okay.
It might be higher than that.
And now, right? Because it's like, who doesn't want to appear? I know for me, if I'm ever going to walk into a room where I know the dominant force in the room is most men, I'm not going to be the loud Kevin initially. I have to fill the space. But why am who I am not good enough for whatever space that I enter in? Whether or not it's full of men, I feel my most safe is around women because I feel like I have to be somebody different around men.
That's good right there, man.
And that goes back because, you know, to the conversation we was having before, before the camera started rolling, but it's about what is identified as a man and what's approved.
What makes a man, right.
I forget how it started, but was it? I think it was talking about emotional and like being feminine. They were saying showing emotion is feminine. When I clearly stated that emotion is a human trait. We cannot avoid or run from this. Man or woman, you're going to have it. But is defined different from who expresses it. If you show it, you're being feminine. If she shows it, she's being herself. You know, she feels something. Well, so now you're saying I can't feel anything.
Right.
And we had that conversation pretty much from the first time when we start having conversations was showing emotion is part of being a man. And the moment you hide that, you start hiding your identity.
Yeah.
And then we start hiding your identity, you start finding yourself being, how are you saying, all these other characters that are not you. And then you find yourself being in different rooms where you feel like you're not accepted. I remember, now that can go two different ways for me. I remember being in high school, and I don't want to take it too far off topic, but I remember being in high school, and there was this one kid who was homosexual. He never, now in high school at that time, nobody really owned up to really being homosexual.
Right.
But when a bunch of men are around, or teenage boys are around, we can easily point it out the room,
exactly.
right? And then there's always that one girl that would be like, "Oh, he's not in defending his case," but we know, all right? So then it comes down to now, say no girls in a room. Let's use the locker room or the lunchroom, for example, or the gym room where a lot of guys were dominant in West Philly high schools. There's a bunch of guys in there. And this one kid that we know is homosexual, he will walk into the room. He would straighten up because he knows the room. He would straighten up and take that whatever tone out his voice, and he will act as masculine as possible. But now let's just say we out on the playground in the schoolyard, and he's with the girls, and he's not as tied up as he is. Now, I'm not going to say what's right or wrong for what him believing in or whatever, but you can see how the room and the atmosphere changed who he was. And that's just a prime example of how we are a lot of times with any atmosphere. Like, I know I grew up in a rough neighborhood, but I was not that tough kid. I was not going to come up to you and start a fight. I will fight you if I have to. I defended family members and myself for a long time, but I'm not going to come up and start a fight. So I already know when I go into the basketball court and this is the group of guys, immediately you have to act tough. And like I said, streets in West Philly, it was a different neighborhood every 2 blocks. So therefore, you don't want to be pointed out as, oh, he not from around here or he's soft, because now you got a target on your back.
That's right.
So now, sometimes it's not even about proving your identity or anything. It's about, safety at a point. And I can really say safety. We know what the crime rates is around here. So, and to a certain extent, it's all about having confidence and just being you. I was never going to sag my pants to impress nobody. I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to get dreadlocks. I'm not nothing against it. But if I know that's what everybody doing just so they can say it's in, I'm not going to do it. I want to be me. So now when you have like these different groups of guys and gangs and everything, and they have this certain identity, and this is dominating your neighborhood, and you're not like that, you don't have to fall submissive to that. That's.
But who's teaching the younger generation that?
That's what I wanted to get to, because back to the Theo part, that young man needed a Theo.
Yes, he did.
Because without that Theo, that locker room culture would have continued to be enforced. Vanessa would have got hurt. More girls would have continued to get hurt without that Theo. So to your point, Kev, I feel like we have a lot of circumstances where these young men, they're learning something.
Yeah.
They're sponges. They're learning something, but we need more accountable Theos to stand up.
To kind of zoom it out even a little bit more, is I think culturally we got to get an understanding. I mean, we keep hearing these black women say, like, protect black women. And we're missing the part that, like, femininity is it's a challenge in our society, right? Like, we target and we exploit and we do harm to anything that rocks femininity. And the challenge was that, like, this is just a little deep.
No, go.
Is that we're lying to ourselves, right?
Absolutely.
So, like, if I get biblical for a moment, like, one of God's names is Al Shaddai, which means the Almighty, like, real strong, Almighty God. But it also means the big-breasted one. Like, that's also a translation of what that means. But we have the tendency to strip that away and say that, no, you can only be the Almighty. But, like, what's the point in being Almighty if I can't provide? Like, if I can't actually protect?
Right.
It doesn't matter how strong I am,
Yeah.
and we're losing a lot of the protection and the ways that we target femininity and saying like, yo, I actually do need feminine traits on myself too.
Absolutely.
That's a good point. So to an extent, we're if you miss that enlightenment, you are missing the full essence of manhood. You're
Exactly.
leaving a great percentage of manhood on the table because you have to subscribe to what society says manhood is.
And is that what leaves a lot of men to leaving their homes?
Come on, or voluntarily or involuntarily.
Yeah.
Look, y'all see why I got these men at the table, dog? Like, we came to be today. But, like, yo, because all that reminds me of how simple it would be if one man would step outside himself for the greater good of all men, right? The Almighty did, right? And if we are supposed to be as he was, or he is, then why are we now allowing outside forces to now manipulate us in a way that robs us of that opportunity to step outside of you for the greater good of all men? And then doing that promotes us to heal, to identify, right? Disassociate with whatever the societal norms say that we have to be. And that's the thing that gets me. Like, why do I have to be what everybody else says that I have to be?
I think it's that fear, right? Because Jeremy spoke about being unsafe. Nobody wants to be unsafe.
Nobody wants to be unsafe.
Nobody wants to be unsafe. So it takes a lot of, man, I don't know what's going to happen, but I'm going to do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then it's like whatever comes with it, but whatever comes with it could be very damaging or it could be very uplifting. But the truth of the matter is people are really wanting that space to be created. They're wanting somebody to say, you know what, I love you.
Yeah.
I was in a group conversation last week with a group of young men, and one of the assignments that I asked them to do was number one, to compliment themselves. We got that out the way. Then I said,
That'd be crazy sometimes.
then I said, I want you to give a compliment to somebody else in this group. They did that. I asked young man, how did it make you feel? Mr. Maurice, it made me feel great.
See?
I didn't know that he felt that way about me. I didn't know that he cared for me, and I didn't know that he saw me like that. And I think it's those spaces, it's those opportunities that can really shift what we need to do inside of our hearts and inside of our minds.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think those are things that, like you said, are stripped from us. Like complimenting the other men. So growing up, you can't do that.
Man, you can't.
They'll be like, pause. That was the first
Seriously.
thing they did,
And
but
everything is a pause. Like,
it is.
dang.
But
It's like, I want to take your shoes. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want to compliment you on your
Instead of
shoes.
saying they
Right,
look
right.
nice and
Right.
everything,
Right.
like, bro,
What
you don't
size
even
is
wear
those?
size
Right.
11. You know they not your size.
Crazy,
Come on.
man.
Right.
Crazy.
And
But-
now we got to fight because we too afraid to say,
Now we
I
got-
just really wanted to say your shirt look nice, bro.
Right.
The spaces that we forced in because we afraid. You said,
It
now we
causes
got
them
to
to-
fight because we afraid.
Wait, and look how counter that is, right? Like the caricature of what manhood is that you're unafraid. But a lot of the things that motivate us to do that is because we are afraid.
Oh, my
Right.
God.
So they're not afraid of you. They're afraid to be themselves because
Yeah.
part of them being themselves is complimenting you.
Yeah.
So now instead of complimenting you because I'm scared to do that, I have to threaten you to show you I'm not scared of.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
And that brings me back. You had an Instagram question the other day. You told me to remember this.
Yeah.
And it just came back to me off
Yeah.
of this topic. The question says, what does be a man means to you or something
What
like
does
that?
it really mean to be a man?
And when I hear someone say be a man, or they'll say this probably y'all probably see where I'm leading with this when I say this next phrase is when they say man up. So when I hear stuff like that, you remember my answer. I don't want to say what my answer was, but you told me to remember that answer because I remember when I was a young kid around the same time I moved from my next neighborhood or whatever, and I remember I couldn't open a can it was a Snapple. I couldn't open a can. I'm a scrawny, skinny little kid. It's hard for me to get this can open.
Oh, we can't tell.
Shut up. So
You ain't having any issues now.
Well, he probably break the bottle.
I knew he was
just to
gonna
get the
say
can.
that. I knew he was gonna say that. But I remember going to my mom, be like, Mom, I can't open the can. It was really frustrating me that I couldn't, not the can, the bottle. It was a glass bottle. I couldn't open it. And then another guy in the church, it was an older dude, he came up to me, he said, if you don't man up, and I took offense to it because one, I wasn't talking to him.
Not talking to you.
That was one thing, but that's besides the point. I did get frustrated because I looked at him, and I remember being a kid. You know, you gotta be respectful to the others. Mom, right here, but who talking to you, right? Mom, I'm already frustrated. I can't get this bottle open, but he said, "Man up." But then nobody. That was my first time hearing that phrase, and nobody explained to me what it meant. But telling off of me whining and complaining to my mom about this can, I knew he meant stop complaining.
I can't do that,
Right. So he came over and he like helped me, but instead of him opening the bottle for me, he grabbed my one hand that's on the bottle, and he grabbed my other hand that was on the lid, and he said, "We're gonna open this bottle," and he gripped my hand like I felt the tightness of his hand, gripped my hand, and like the can just the bottle lid just came right off. So then at that point, every time I heard the phrase "man up," it meant stop crying, stop complaining, stop. And that was my phrase.
The B word.
Right. That's what I said. That was my answer. That was my answer on there. So now to take it to when we're adults. So now, I'm not saying he was wrong for that, but I didn't know how to interpret that as at that age. Because now as adults, the only thing a man really complains about, we have bills, we have responsibilities. Some of them have children, we have wives, we have work, and all these different things to deal with. And the last thing we want to be caught doing is complaining about the life or the path that we done chose. So let me come home one day and throw my frustration out, work out on my nerves, and this month, and then you complaining, and then you realize somebody like, what are you crying for? Like, man up, be a man.
That's legit, man.
Right.
But that,
I think sometimes we even forget how to do those things.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, for real.
you go long enough not complaining about stuff,
It
you
bottles
get the
up.
opportunity to complain, and you be like, I don't even know the words to form.
Right.
I'm just mad.
Right.
But then I think about that experience for you and how every fiber of my being yearned for those experiences. I would have loved for my dad to tell me stop bitching, to be a man, because
Right.
I had to learn how to be a man by the men I saw my mother with, and the boys I saw my sisters fall for, or just by feminine language, right? I grew up in a house with only women. My mom, my grandmom, my 3 sisters, and then my aunt moved from New York when I was maybe 7. So all these women in the house, and I had to learn how to navigate manhood by the experience of being around all women. I could not wait in my mind, because it never happened, I couldn't wait for the opportunity for a man to teach me something, to tell me what not to do, what not to be, right? And so I'm bottling in all this frustration, and I'm taking it out on the one man that should have been there to do it, right? And I had to learn that my parents did the best they could with what they had, right? I have become, and I used to question my manliness. I questioned my sexuality growing up because I picked up all these feminine traits, and I'm like, well, I don't know how to not be this because all I have around me is this, right? And a part of me was afraid to be a father of a boy because am I going to teach him how to be a man or teach him how to be the man I know that I can be, which spills a lot of femininity, and I don't want nobody to come from my kid, right? Or I'm attracted to this girl, but I only know how to be her friend. I don't know how to approach her in a way that awards me the opportunity of actually dating her because I see my sister form friendships with women, and that's what I know, right? So I wanted somebody to tell me, man up, and then learn what it means, how toxic that is to a young boy, right? To not be able to cry, to not be able to give my brother a hug and tell my brother I love him, right? Or to not see that, and that was never displayed around me. I never saw men love on or support or gravitate towards each other or lean on each other or say I love you and stuff like that. I was a grown man before I heard the words I love you.
Yeah.
It was crazy.
That's hard.
I was at a wedding like 2 weeks ago. A good friend of mine got married, and him and his dad was having a conversation. And, you know, I'm ear hustling. And I'm like, man, I'm so jealous right now, man. Yo, I just wanted to jump in and just, I don't know. But, like, we do crave that. We crave that opportunity to connect and be intimate with another male. I
Just
mean,
using that word
and
intimate and man.
you know what I'm saying?
Like-
Like, yo, it's so much power in that. Like, I
Yeah.
never forget, like, the first, like, all right, so my biological father is not in my life, and then my stepdad, he's in my life, but he has not been a father to me. So I feel like I've been screwed over twice. And that shit,
Yeah,
shoot.
use your words.
All right, that shit hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It hurt bad. You know what I mean? So the first hug that I received in the sense of a fatherhood nature was from my mentor, Dr. Proctor. And I was like, yo, this what this joint feel like, man? Like, this is crazy. It's crazy. And I just wish that, I wish I had that opportunity to be fathered. And I don't think a lot of young men have an opportunity to be fathered. And that's life-changing, man.
So do you think that's why you became who you are? Because of the lack of that? Because I can say that for me. I'm the mentor that I am because I never want boys to feel how I felt, right? I never want to be in a position of influence and not give a way of escape for the mind of young black and brown boys. Or boys in general, because I have an Asian son, I have a white son. But it's just the importance of understanding I don't have to be what they would call a punk, a sissy, and none of that, because I love my brother. Or I teach these young men the sensitive side of manhood and how it's okay to live there if you need to for a little while, right? That I feel like there's a space for healthy balance. Women say that they don't want weak men, but I challenge them to think that they don't want a man that's so stern and so like hyper masculine that it robs her of an experience of a wholesome man. I don't want my daughter to fall in love with a man that's not like me.
Come on.
You understand what I'm saying? Because now she's in danger. Because he's so emotionally removed from himself, he's now toxic. He can be physically. I will kill you, sir. This is for the future son of somebody. You know what I'm saying? But I'm just being honest.
That's right.
Because that's my little girl. It's my job to protect.
That's
right.
right.
I will lay hands, feet, and other objects. Okay.
I'm up to season 6 on how to get away with murder.
But look,
so
I
know exactly what to do.
Got 2 more seasons to go, bro. I'm telling you, it's gonna be good at the end. But like, even saying stuff like that, bro, we ain't supposed to watch stuff like that. I listened to Light Skin Keisha on the way here. Yo, her new track is sick. But I grew up hearing that's girl music. So I can't love certain types of music because a girl is the artist. Yo, the top 6 albums on my playlist are women. My favorite artist is Brandy. Don't get in no conversation with me about Brandy and think I ain't about to go in. But I also know what I'm doing when I got to do what I got to do, if you know what I'm talking about,
feel
right?
what
So
you're
I'm
saying,
not
my-
playing about, it doesn't rob me of an authentic manly connection or livelihood because I'm tapped into these other things. But you yearn, like you said, you yearn for, when you don't have it, you yearn for those opportunities to kind of like, dang.
So then that goes back to how we started it about, having your identity and not knowing what it is. So now, back then, like, it starts off with us accepting approval from everyone else, and then that all done settled in, and you realize this is not it, and then you said you eavesdrop, you heard something else, and then you see that's what it is, and then you want that.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now you find yourself doing the same thing. It's almost like you get the same challenges until you master that challenge. You know what I mean? So finding who you are is your challenge. That's your battle right now. And then you start off at a young age. Everybody does it, men, women, it doesn't matter who you are. You find out all these different informations, and then you start accepting whatever is given to you. And then as time go on, you get older, and you realize, oh, snap, it is okay to say I love you. I've never heard that, but well, I need to try it.
Yeah.
And then, but now there was a moment that you think like, man, if I did that, somebody would have called me.
Come on.
You know what I mean?
Yo.
So then you got to second guess and
But
walk on eggshells around that.
That's what I heard my whole life. You faggot, you bitch, you weak, you a punk, you this, you that. And it came from family members first, though.
Oh, that's hard.
And I think part of it is for me that we got to stop framing it as like we didn't get stuff, and we got to start talking about like, nah, people robbed us of these things.
Yeah.
Like they took
Took it
things
away
away
from
from
us.
us. And maybe that's how they grew up and that's how they knew. But nah, you still responsible. Like you took that away from me, and you did not equip me to be a better man in the process. Like people got to start owning that, and I think we got to own that in the ways that we do it to each other.
Absolutely.
Because we still do it, right? Like I know we all talking about manhood up here, but we got some toxic ways in ourselves too, right?
Yeah.
We inherited them things, and then we pass them on to other people.
Yeah.
And we got to start taking responsibility for it. The challenges, though, where I say it's unfair, is that right now we got a society that's saying, like, men, you need to man up and be a man and all that type stuff. And some people are saying in a positive way. But the examples are few.
Yeah.
So they're asking us to grab it from the ether, from, like, the mist, and just figure out how to be a man. And this is why I appreciate conversations like this, because, like, I don't have the answers. But collectively, we can figure out and like, oh, what piece of manhood you got? You got that piece?
And
I ain't never
get it.
had that piece. All right, let me add that to the repertoire and like build myself up in that way.
And that takes intimacy.
And
you have to be there.
Trust.
Yeah.
And the overall idea of knowing that I don't have to have all the answers. But if I trust myself to trust this brother and trust that brother and trust that brother, then I get the full experience. Like, I'm going to put this out there, I'm going to get to some stuff, and then we're going to wrap up, right? All of the ways in which we connected were various, like different ways, right? I was connected to you through someone else. I was connected to you through someone else. I was connected to you through an experience, right? It could have very well started and ended there. But there was something about what was formulated in that initial point of contact that piqued the interest of both parties. This is something I need to invest in. I don't know this man, but I want to know this man, right? I think about my relationship with Nigel, one of the closest people to me, right? Like, we don't talk as often as we used to, but that's my brother. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I know without a shadow of a doubt, if nothing and no one, Nigel got it. You know what I'm saying? I learned that about I'm learning that about Jeremy. I've learned that about Reese. One of the most powerful things you ever said to me was, I realized that we were just a surface brotherhood, right? And that there was more to it, and I needed to open myself to that, right? Y'all, I'm gonna put our business out there a little bit, right?
We here.
Reese and I connected through other friends. We formed this group called the Fab Five, and we were just like in the sauce, like tossing ideas around. We did one event together, and it was magical. It was one of Reese's first events, and we spoke individually, but collectively we felt like we had this thing, right? And it didn't go as we had planned it to, but we're all still brothers. We're all still connected to each other, but we all had our individual relationships and connections with each other. It wasn't until I can't even think about that initial conversation, but one day we had decided that we needed to explore more of each other in terms of brotherhood. He pulled up to my school.
Can I tell you what it was?
Yeah.
So we talk about being intimate, right?
Right.
I just put out there, I'm having a rough moment.
Yeah, there you go.
Having a rough moment in my life right now, but I wasn't expecting anything. I just put it out there because I know that this is a group of praying brothers.
Right.
And I said, just toss a prayer up for me. And Gold, he took it another level, and he FaceTimed me. And we started rapping, but I needed that. And then we said, let's meet up next Friday.
Right.
So
I think what it was is,
That's big time.
in the moment when I called you, I was like, I just wanted to see your face. I heard what you said, but I just wanted to look at you.
That's right.
And I was like, I love you, and I'm here. Whatever that means, that's what it is, right? And then let's meet up. So we met up, bro, literally outside of my school. And the embrace in that hug said
Facts.
everything we knew we couldn't verbalize, right?
Facts.
And I was like, I didn't know I needed that. He needed an extension to that pour out that he gave us in that conference. But I was like, yo, bro, like I didn't know I needed that as much as I did, right? And I think fast forwarding, the Southern came out. We don't finish words all the time. That's our business.
Okay.
But fast forwarding, the nature of our relationship will never be surface level. because of that encounter.
That's
and
right.
I think you needed me to call you.
I did.
You didn't know, you didn't expect, but you needed it. And I did what Kevin always does. Like Nigel can be like, yo, he can disappear for a while. And I'm calling him like, yo, I just wanted, you cool? He does the same for me. Jeremy tossed something on Instagram and I'm not going to respond on the
Responded,
DM.
like, come on.
I'm going to text his phone, hey, yo, bro, you cool? We need to check in anyway, right?
Right.
He always takes it back to, all right, you ready to do them push-ups? I got this new workout. I got this. And I'm like, no, bro, I just was responding to it. But you feel what I'm saying? But I say all that to say, there's society's view of toxic masculinity. None of us should embody that. But Nigel kind of alluded to the fact we all kind of do in a way. And that's because of our different experiences, right? But I challenge us to think about what we now know, what we're going to do differently about that, right? So what I want us to do before I get into that minute to be, I want us to finish some statements. Think about the first thing that come to your mind, right? Here go, teacher mode, boom. All right. As a young boy, I wish I had known what? As a young boy, I wish I had known what?
I ain't want to say nothing like too cliche, but
Whatever you need to say what you need to say.
Oh my God. Like I ain't want to say like better or what I know now, but it's a bit.
Okay. You
know,
wish you would have known then what you know now.
Yeah.
That's a powerful cliche, so it's okay to use it.
Same statement.
Yeah.
That you can't flex with somebody else's money.
Talk about it.
No flex zone.
I'm trying to think, man. What's one thing I wish I would have known then?
Yeah.
Shoot. I would say the essence of providing. Me being a husband and a father now has truly stretched me because my wife don't take no bullshit. And she has challenged me to step out of toxic masculinity. So I would say knowing that providing is not just finances.
Yeah.
You know, it's not just if you can knock somebody out if somebody approach y'all, but it's security on another level. It's providing peace. It's providing that energy. It's, you know, there's different levels of providing. So knowing what providing actually is.
Got you.
Can I change my answer since it was so? I feel like it was so broad. I feel like I didn't cover nothing. Like,
go ahead.
Like this is all stuff we didn't. We wish we knew back then. But I wish that I knew. Well, I forgot what I was going to say. But oh no. I wish that I knew how to stand firm on what I always believed in. Then you know,
Ooh,
just
that's
to
a good
stay
one.
there.
Yeah.
That's good.
And
That's dope.
I'm glad I got to hear you say that because of our conversation.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's powerful. I wish I would have known that it was okay not to be okay. Yeah. That I didn't have to have it figured out. Because my entire life was knowing that I had to have it figured out.
That's right.
And if I would have known that it was okay not to be okay, I would have given myself a little more grace.
Like in terms of like the educators, like you realize how many questions you have wrong just because you second guessed your first answer.
Yeah.
That's
yeah. All right. I wish black men knew what? No, sorry. I wish black men would what?
I wish black men would learn and actually learn how to and actually learn to do it, love more.
Ooh.
Like not no regular give me a hug and you know I'm there for you, but no, like learn what love is and actually do it. I wish black men would do that.
Why every time you say something, a song comes up? What it really means.
What was the statement again?
I wish black men would.
I wish black men will really put the work in to be a brother. Because I think we all say, "What's up, bro?" But it don't mean anything.
You just ran on your bro.
You ran right. You ain't do nothing to show some type of brother. We talked about that,
Yeah, we
right?
did. Mm-hmm.
So I wish that we would just learn to put the work in to actually be a brother.
Okay.
Yeah. I think I wish black men would fall forward together. I think we got a lot of figuring out to do.
For sure.
And I think we're going to make a lot of mistakes along the way.
For sure.
And we're going to fall. But, like, if it's in the effort of being in community and learning from each other,
Progression.
then it's absolutely worth it. The first rule of finance is no risk, no reward. And we just leaving a whole bunch of rewards out there because we're not taking the risk of falling forward together.
Yeah.
If I was to start a business, Nigel would be my accountant. I'm just gonna put that out there. He may not want to, but oh well.
Just saying, I switch majors. I switch majors. So.
Oh well. I wish black men would heal intentionally and heal on purpose. And I'm gonna leave that there because if I don't, we're gonna go past time because I can go, but whatever. But that's my answer. I wish black men would heal and take that as you must. As a man, I have failed at what? Finish the statement.
All right, I can say as a man, I have failed at being emotional or expressing myself. I can say I've done that. Not being honest with who I really was. I failed at that.
I would say, as a man, I've failed at, to his point, just being honest about who I truly am in every space. And then also perpetuating certain, I guess, narratives of manhood that I know ain't healthy. I know ain't healthy, but I perpetuate it because I want to remain safe.
This safe topic makes me want to go in a
Because
whole
look,
different.
right?
But when I brought it up, I had something else to go with, but I didn't want to hold up this conversation.
But that's
Yo.
see why it's important to talk about it out loud to remain safe. But who defines safety and what makes us like authentically safe? How does that feel? What?
Bro,
we can talk about this safety
We
thing.
could.
We can talk
and I
about
want
it.
us to, but I don't want nobody to feel like, when is going? But no. Okay, so season 2, we're gonna do a part 2, and I'm gonna have the same panelists. So, but no, that's
we gotta go. Listen, I'm about to go get my robe and my Bible.
because
I'm
that safety is more important than we believe it to be.
But
Right?
do we believe we got ourselves in position of safety because we're trying to avoid a different kind of danger?
Yeah.
Not knowing we're probably putting ourselves in more danger, and then you got your family in that danger, and it's just going. It's like, but you.
It's the truth because I mean the shortcut to it is that the easiest way to become safe is to become the bully that bullied you.
Yeah.
Right?
If you can't beat them, join them. But
Exactly.
that's not always the answer.
not always
But the problem is, right, like you cut off a piece of yourself in doing that.
That's right.
And there's always a bigger bully out there.
Absolutely.
It always
Like-
is.
Absolutely.
A job. You going to work? Oh, okay, you're going to meet that bigger bully, right?
right.
And that same tactic that you took before is not effective in that new
Yes,
arena.
bro.
So
I'm going to leave it alone. I promise I'm going to leave it alone after this. My father said this. He preached this in church the other day. A lot of us put ourselves in bad position because we bring ourselves down lower. And the example he used was if you play at a really high level, say, all right, we can relate to basketball. I play like every day. If you play at a really high level, right, and now you're playing against a team that's a low level, the mindset is to stay at that high level to beat them. Because the moment you say, "Oh, we better than them, we could play at that level," and the next thing you know, you about to lose this game. And there's only 2 minutes left, and you got to catch up 10 points.
That's right.
That team should have never been above you from the begin with, especially if you up here.
That's right.
A lot of us, because we don't know or we don't really size up the competition, what's really going on, we take that first step and it's the wrong step. We second guess our first answer. And now next thing we know, we're in danger. And it's too late.
Yeah.
You ain't got time.
Yeah.
That's a good one. I feel like just from an identity perspective, right? You know, we've become consumers of identity. We're buying identity instead of tapping into who we truly are on the inside. You know what I mean? And I think it's so hurtful because we go through life without knowing who we truly are.
And that goes back to them influencing you, and then you come back to their influence because they got the power. Listen, I can run this out.
Because y'all make
Let
me
me stop.
sick.
Let me stop. Go ahead.
what was the prompt again, though? What was the prompt?
That question
we
was,
didn't get
what was it? Oh, as a man, I have failed at.
Yeah, I can't leave without saying something. I failed at because everybody else did, right?
Sorry.
I ain't failing nothing. I'm joking.
I'm a man.
Hey, look.
Right.
I'm a man.
Oh,
Fight me.
I gotta show y'all this Instagram.
I don't
page
got no
after we
regrets.
done, too.
For me, I think as a man, I failed at being a versatile leader because I do think that manhood and leadership are linked, but it looks so different in every arena. Like in my household, it really means that I got to be the financial leader, I got to be the protector, and all that. When I walk into my father-in-law's household, proper leadership for me is to learn. I don't need to be the financial or the protector. So like, I fail at that sometimes of trying to use the hammer as the only tool.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be the same type of man in every type of arena. When I'm in my mom's house, I don't need to provide. She got her own.
Y'all see why?
Yeah,
When I'm at
dudes
work,
up-
right, I work in an organization where, it's mostly women, non-binary folk, and things like that. My leadership there looks like listening before I respond and before I put out an idea, right? And I failed at that so many times because, again, we're pressured into like these boxes of like, this is what a man looks like, or this is what you look like. And it's like, actually, I look like a bunch of different things at a bunch of different moments. And it's okay for me to lean into those different parts of myself at a different time.
Absolutely. I think I have failed the most at alleviating myself of expectations of other men around me. I build such a narrative that I am only as great as the people around me, and that's not so, because in many spaces I'm greater than some of the people I put around me or that I find myself around. And then I have this expectation of men just showing up for me like they owe me something. And that's not true. And I found that the more I relinquish myself of those expectations, the more free I am at just being authentically Kev. Because now you don't have in the back of your mind, well, this person is going to expect you to do or be that. These people are going to expect you to do or be that or to say that. And kind of like what you were saying, in certain spaces, I can be different people, right? All true to who I am, though, right? But I think that's one of the things I beat myself up a lot about in the past. Holding on to expectations of what I feel like other men around me have of me, and then those that I have of other men. But that's one thing that I failed at.
Wow.
And then your wrap up is this: hey, young man, what you gonna say to him? Hey, young man, what you gonna say? Say what you need to say. What you gonna say to the young man?
Hey, young man, listen. I'll say, hey, young man.
Pray like a pop.
Shut up. That's a pop phrase. Hey,
Right.
young man. Bro, I'm not saying hey, young man. I'm gonna say young boy. Come here.
But everybody not from Philly.
Young boy, come here, little dummy.
But some people say that.
Yeah, no, they don't say dummy. They say dickhead.
Right. And they say that's a term of endearment.
Right.
But no, like, young boy, listen. And to be genuine, I would say pray more. Definitely pray more. And if you haven't learned how already, learn what love is. Learn where it comes from. Learn what and stick to it. Be you. But definitely pray. Like, I wish at a young age, besides my parents, because there's one thing coming from parents, and there's another thing coming from, everyone else.
Facts.
My parents, they'll teach you to pray. They put your routine. Pray before you go to bed. Pray before every meal and everything. But mine was, if somebody came to me and just kept saying, pray. If it came from a uncle or a teacher or somebody else, and they told me to pray, I would take it so much more serious than what I have at a young age. And I don't want to get too biblical or anything, but it's a very powerful thing. When I realize a lot more happens for me when I pray. I could cry, I could complain, I can work 1 billion overtimes, but the real damage gets done when I do my prayer.
Oh my God.
Really.
Can I just jump in right on that, man? Because I'm definitely a fan of prayer. I pray 3 times a day. Morning, I carve out time for lunchtime, and then at night. And it has changed my world, bro. Like that communication with God, like to actually know that He talked to you. I can hear His voice, man. And like to be in His spirit and his presence and I know that that's following me and it's following my wife and my daughter. It's in my young boy, man, get a prayer life, like this young man said.
Prayer.
Get a prayer life because it's so powerful. Number 2, I would say just be willing to learn yourself, to learn who you are outside of the parameters or the box that society or music or media or movies say that you have to be. Learn who you essentially are, and just be happy. I think we so pent up, like we so stressed. We so
It's like they looking for reasons to be angry.
right.
Why? A movie you done watch several
That's how
times. You don't come out
in
the
their
house.
mind frame. That's how you win.
Like, can you smile? Can you just smile organically without like cracking jokes on somebody else?
that's
Can you
gay.
just smile?
No,
No, that's gay.
Yeah, say it
be
again.
it.
That's gay.
That's gay.
Their mouth don't go like that. Like,
Just smile. First
that's
of all,
real.
this girl man just asked me to smile at him.
Yeah.
And they'll go for what? That's but no, seriously,
That's real
like they
rap.
Yeah, that's
do.
important.
It's
What about you, Nah?
I do pray. That's not my answer, though. I just wanted to put that out there. 'Cause that's not what I was going to say. I mean, I would say it differently, but young boy, you are inherently worthy of love, and nothing that you could ever do disqualifies you from a life of love. Like, there's no mistake that you can make that makes you unlovable. There's no way that you should actually be able to earn my love either. Like,
should be
you,
unconditional, yeah.
it's not a like you are worthy of love.
What?
You don't got to prove it to nobody.
Come on.
You don't gotta. And because you're worthy of love, you can give love. Right? Like, you're not gonna run out. You should not. I mean, society should not be set up in a way that you're gonna run out of love by giving it to somebody. And I think that's part of the struggle, is that we talk about young boys being mad. They really are.
They are
They really are frustrated.
With reason.
upset,
with-
disappointed.
with a lot of good reasons.
lot of
And
reasons,
I think if more of us knew and saw examples of like, yo, you actually are loved, we could let some of that anger go.
Can I want to shut
Go
up,
ahead.
but can I, to Nigel's point, like, don't allow what happened to you define you. Like, your dad abused your mom. That does not mean that you have to abuse
women. Yeah.
Your uncle had 30 million girlfriends. Does not mean that you have to have so many bodies. You know, like, do not allow that to map out who you are.
And do that work early.
Early.
Do that work early. If your father was abusing your mother and you saw that, you got to understand that, like, that did something to you.
Yeah.
And you may not know how it's going to come out later, but don't wait till you 35 and now you feel like punching on a woman where you like, oh, that did something. No, do that work early. Like, explore that. Don't, because surprise, like, people be like, oh, snaps, I'm an abuser. No, bruh, like, don't find out now.
Right.
Don't find out in the midst of you hitting somebody. Like, do that work early. You got anger problems? Don't wait till they explode. Do that work.
Young boy, get a release. Figure out what your release is. If it's basketball, if it's weightlifting, if it's boxing, if it's painting, if it's writing, find a release. You need self-love and self-care.
I've literally done all those things on that list.
All right.
Yeah, we need that, man. This world is set up against us.
It is.
We got to release. That's why you see all these young boys getting killed, because they so, it's like, yo, you step on my shoe one last time, it's over.
And that be
Sometimes
it.
it's not even that. It's you stepped on my shoe. Bye.
Yeah.
Yep.
Like,
I don't know. I love my J's, man.
I do.
You
but
might
you about
have
to kill nobody for stepping on your shoes. You
It
could get,
depend- if
you
you
could
do
get
it
the
on
money to
purpose,
buy
I
him.
might say no.
You see them arms? He just might. Like, and you don't need no gun.
Here you go.
Yeah. Well, okay. I ain't gonna go. All right. So I'm gonna use mine. Right. I'm gonna use my answer as our minute to be, and I'm not from Philly, so I'm not gonna say what they said. I'm gonna say young
What
man.
y'all be saying down there?
Young
Right.
man.
Y'all say young man?
Youngin.
Youngin. All right, that makes sense. I can hear youngin.
Youngin. We say
Youngin.
youngin.
Yeah.
Y'all so country.
I can't help it. So this is your minute to be, and I use this minute to be for every young man, every old head, That's a universal slang. We say that down
Yeah,
here,
oh,
too.
yeah,
I just
yeah.
don't want y'all to think I'm trying to be North Carolina and Philly at the same time because I'm unstable in my ways. No, absolutely not. This is your minute to be. And in this minute to be, I urge you, young brothers, young fathers, young mentors, young uncles, young sons, young preachers, old preachers, young, old, whoever. Man, I'm talking to you. Be 100% authentically yourself at all times, period. Right? In doing so, you're now giving yourself permission to shape your narrative as it fits you. Be respectful of you first. Love yourself first. Be aware of who you are and make other people conform to you. Don't give this world permission to shape the narrative around who you should now be, how you should think. Whoever you are, bro, be that. However you think that. Whatever you feel that. Like, in its essence, feel it. Because then what you do is allow yourself to be. And then what we can do is help shape what you will become. Do not give us, and that's men, that's women, that's society, do not give us the permission to shape you until you have first given yourself permission to believe you are worthy enough to just authentically be you. And it's okay to be you. Brothers, you good at flipping. You want to explore that gymnastic world? Forget the fact that you got to wear tights and society around you may think that you're less than who you are. Go flip, bruh. Brother, you like to cook? There are billions of dollars for brothers in culinary arts. Go cook, bruh. Brothers, you like to sew? The fashion industry is yours. Go own it, bruh. You like to sing, go sing. You like to rap, go rap. You like to dance, go dance. And I don't mean dance as if it has to be exclusive to what black men or men in general are forced to be in the dance world. Put on them ballet shoes and go do the ballet if that's where your heart is telling you to be. Do you authentically. Be you authentically. Think you authentically. And let the world soak that up. Eat it up and watch as they enjoy. Life gives you lemon, make apple juice and make people think, how did he? Because I'm me and I can do that. Be authentically 100% you. And that's my message to you today, brothers. And we're going to wrap up by, because I do pray, right? I ain't use that as my thing, right? But
I pray too, y'all. I really do.
I do, like,
Why you
all
gotta-
the time. And
You gotta do we believe.
ain't it crazy how one person said it and then another person said it, and now you automatically think you got to put that in there so the
Right,
people don't
like,
think because you
That
ain't
wasn't
saying
for
you
you. It was
right.
for the young brothers. I was telling the young
Right.
brothers that.
Right, but Pete, I'm going to first wholeheartedly, sincerely thank you guys for this conversation.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man.
Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for your willingness to just be authentically you and offer that in this space in a way that will be transformative to anybody, male or female, who's to watch this when it's put out there to be viewed. I can't thank you enough for your time. Everybody could have been somewhere else, but you chose to be here for this time, and I appreciate that.
That's true.
I love you. I appreciate you. Your time is valuable to me. Your lives are valuable to me. And if at any time I can offer myself to you as a resource, as a shoulder, as an arm, or whatever, I vow to be that for you guys, right? And because you are who you are, I give that to your surroundings as well. I can't be me to you and not offer that to your wives, your girlfriends, your children, your family, your community, and everything that's a part of who you are. I can't commit to you and not commit to those things too, because those things are a part of you, right? So this conversation was healthy in a way that it allows us to see ourselves as men multifaceted, right? And I'm going to close out in a prayer, if that's okay. I don't care if it's not okay. This is my platform. What you talking about? This
Stephen A. Smith.
is me, dog. No.
Just be.
Father, I thank you from the bottom of my heart and the depths of my soul. I thank you for the opportunity to experience you on a deeper level today via conversation with my brothers, God. In a world that's so cruel around us, God, that does not always give us the opportunity or the permission to just see ourselves as who we are and who you've created us to be, I thank you for a chance today to really tap into that, God. I thank you for just your power, your grace, your favor. Thank you for your favor, because it's in your favor that we are found safe to do and be who we need to be. God, I ask that you protect not just the men who sit beside me, but the men who are watching this. Give them permission to heal, to seek after you. Give them permission to find safety in you and to find safety in other brothers. God, I ask that you provide a shield of protection over these brothers, God, as we leave this platform and go out into a world that's seeking to not just alleviate us mentally, but literally killing us, God, mostly because we are black men. I ask for your protection. I ask for your wisdom that we show ourselves mighty and strong as it leads folk to you, God, and I ask that you protect not just us, but our families, our loved ones, anybody in our circle, those outside of our circle, God, that we don't yet know the dynamic of the relationship that you are now shaping to be. God, I ask that you just protect it in general. And as we leave this place and not your presence, God, continue to be who you are. And we give you full permission to do just that. We love you. We appreciate you. We thank you for everything and doubt you for absolutely nothing. And it's in your name I say thanks and amen.
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 And thank y'all for coming to just be.
Let's be.
Appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir.
It's a wrap.